Hi, everyone. Welcome to the FULLEST Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Bostwick, and today's guest is a repeat guest that I had on in 2018. I know exactly when. It was like over 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. And I'm so excited, Alexis, to have you on. Alexis Smart is a wonderful, wonderful formulator, founder of Alexis Smart Flower Remedies, and I'm so excited to get into just talking about your story and recommendations.
Hi, Nikki. I'm so happy to be back here talking to you. So thanks for having me.
Yes. So if you guys are interested, I would recommend also listening to our previous podcast where we talked a lot about Alexis's story, the creation of the Bach Flower Remedies, which is who Alexis can tell us a little bit more in this podcast, as well as we dive into what flower remedies are. But I think it gives you a really great introduction into our conversation today. But maybe, Alexis, we can start just talking about, what are flower remedies and kind of the difference between flower remedies and homeopathy.
Flower remedies, they're called flower essences also, but basically they are spring water imprinted with the healing vibration of a certain flower. So I'll talk about how they're made. They're simply made by blossoms are picked at the peak of bloom, and the ones I use are from England and Wales. And they're floated in a crystal bowl of spring water, set in the sun, and it should be in their natural growing habitat, like in the wild. The ones I use are from the wild, not harvested. You set them in the sun for about 3 hours, and the water changes, it bubbles, it might change color a little. And then that water is imprinted with this vibrational frequency. So many people, when they hear essences, they think that they're like aromatherapy, or that they're a tincture, like milk thistle or something like that. So it's strange. Technically they are waters that are charged with these healing information.
Yeah. So the differences between flower essences and homeopathy, and even I was going to ask you that too, tinctures and other, formulas that incorporate, different types of herbs and flowers in them. But those are more, it's not the essence of it. It's the actual thing.
Yeah,
right?
they're physical. Yeah. So tinctures are made through, I don't make them, so I'm not a pro, but they use the plant material, crude physical material, to extract the healing properties. And those herbs work on your physical body and your organ systems and all your systems. I have herbalist friends who are advanced and kind of see the spirit of the plant and talk more about the emotional aspects of certain herbs, but generally they're physical. They can affect your physical body. Whereas the flower remedies, they're only used for spiritual, emotional, mental conditions. And life conditions, really. And so in a way, the remedies are spirit in nature, meaning there's no matter in them. So it's kind of a match to where they work on us.
I love that analogy so much. And I don't know why I didn't realize that, but that's such a beautiful way to put it. The difference between really working with the plant material and working with the essence of the plant material to work with your spirit. So beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And just learning about them and taking them kind of connects you to the spirit, because they kind of open channels that have been blocked through trauma or grief or anger. All the negative emotions block us from accessing our spiritual sides and natures. And, we're very guarded. And so just taking them opens you up that way. And then when you learn about them, you do have to kind of change your mindset. If you're like a pragmatist and they start working on you, which is what happened with me, you have to change your way of thinking if you're taking flower remedies. So, and then the difference with homeopathy, they're very similar to homeopathy. They were invented or discovered by a homeopath. Dr. Edward Bach he was an MD first, a pioneer in vaccines, immunology. He was he wasn't just like a family doctor. He was doing kind of, he was a pioneer in many fields, but he always felt that like they weren't offering true healing in medicine, because he might cure his patient of arthritis or something, psoriasis, but they'd come back and they were unhappy, and he felt like that's not a true cure. I haven't done everything for these patients. And is that true healing if someone is miserable, but their physical symptoms are gone? So he said, no, it's not. And then he discovered Samuel Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, read his book and thought, and this was written 200 years before him, and he thought, I've found a kindred spirit who understands that illness is spiritual in nature. It begins in the spirit. So, you might see the physical symptoms, but those are a manifestation of some emotional disturbance that happened before, usually. So he was interested in homeopathy, but with homeopathy, you really do need a professional to help you. It's hard to treat yourself, except for acutes. They're amazing for acutes, and you can treat yourself for those. And some of them are made from poisons. He didn't like that. So he wanted to find a system of healing that was totally benevolent, harmless if you took the wrong one. And also, his book was called Heal Thyself. So the philosophy was that you have a kit in your, 38 different flower essences, and you treat yourself. Whereas homeopathy is, you really have to take the right one for it to work. Same with flower remedies, but like you can have aggravations from homeopathy if you take the wrong one and you're sensitive. I've had aggravations. They're not nice.
I've noticed that in my children, because they're obsessed with the pellets, and they're like, I want more, because they're obviously
they taste like
sugar.
Candy.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, no, because you're not even sick. You have zero symptoms, and you're trying to take belladonna. Like, this is not, necessary.
Yes.
And I swear sometimes, like, if they take, because I have like every homeopathic like remedy, and I travel with it, and they'll just like find ones like croupy cough, something for croupy cough, something for this. And I swear they end up like coughing.
Yes.
And I get so confused.
It's approving. They're having a proving symptom, which is how they figured out what symptoms homeopathic remedies treat. Is they would get, like, the first remedy invented was cinchona, Peruvian bark. It's a malaria remedy. And how they figured out every symptom it helps with is they gave a bunch of healthy people small amounts of Peruvian bark in increasing dosage until they exhibited symptoms. Healthy people started having like fevers and chills and headache. And so they would record, they had what's called provers. They would have a group of people, like a control group, healthy people. They had to be like pretty much symptom free. And then they would record everything they experienced, hallucinating, I'm tossing and turning, I have bone pain, whatever. And then that's how they found what each remedy does. I mean, it's mad.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not to like scare anyone, because I think homeopathy is fallen, but it just goes to show that with anything, you just kind of want to just, I think you, as a mother, you tap into your intuition, you're with your child, you understand what symptoms they have, but it's not just like a free for all. And all of a sudden it's like, whatever, it's homeopathy, I'm just going to spray it all over me, or take the pellets or whatever, and just, go along with my day. I mean, we want to be like as connected to ourselves as possible, not have to necessarily take things that aren't necessary.
Yeah.
But I love that about flower essences, that they are more gentle. So tell us a little bit about that, if you do take them and it's not necessarily the right one.
You need to take the one that matches your vibration and your emotional state. So if you take the wrong one, nothing happens. So often you have to prescribe on the negative. Like, someone wants to tell you that they're angry, or they're spaced out, or whatever negative. What I'm noticing more as I work with like a spiritual community, and people are doing manifestation work, and they're trying to focus on the positive, they're actually the hardest people to treat, because they'll say, well, what do you need? Why are you booking this session? Well, I want to call in, I want to manifest a love in my life. Like, Great. Why can't you do that? And it's like, it's so framed in the positive that I'm like, you seem fine. I don't know what you need a remedy for. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so
I
funny.
know.
It's like, let's just take a second and be negative, please, and look at your shadow. What would that say?
Exactly.
Because I totally.
So it's just helpful, and like kids are very easy to treat because they just simply say like, I'm jealous, my baby brother gets all the attention and now I'm second fiddle. So you're like, okay, I know the remedies. So it's very simple. Dr. Bach intended it to be a simple method of diagnosing, and you just ask yourself how you feel and you find the remedies that match that. And then, you know, sometimes it might take a hit or miss. Like you might try one that seems a match and you don't feel anything, and then you try another one. But with homeopathy also, yeah, I don't want to scare anyone. They are very dilute. So belladonna or arsenic or snake venom, those aren't in crude form. They are diluted thousands of times to the point where also there's no matter in them. You know, they're vibrational as well. But I do find less is more with homeopathy. So even if you take the right remedy, I often treat people who like were self-treating or maybe were seeing a homeopath who wasn't classical, and they would take the remedy too much. Like if you take a remedy and it works, you don't take it again, which is hard for us to wrap our head around because we go, oh, more is
Yeah.
better. You know, belladonna worked for my headache. I'll take it 4 times a day for life. And that will usually cause symptoms. So you want to take the minimum dose. With homeopathy, you want to take the minimum dose required to stimulate a curative response, and then only take it when that remedy has exhausted its action. Whereas with flower remedies, you do take them 4 times a day, and you can take them for months and have no negative side effects. So they're great for sensitive people like us and mothers, nursing moms, and you know, people that are taking medications or other treatments, chronic illness, stuff like that.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you is there anything that can get in the way of the flower remedies working? Obviously, I'm assuming maybe if you have a cleaner diet or
No,
I don't know. No?
basically, here's what gets in the way. If you don't take them, like that's, you know, when I have a follow,
Yeah.
they didn't work. Well, did you take them? No. So not taking them. And then there's one thing that could prevent them from working or create a blockage to them working. And Dr. Bach had 3 remedies called catalyst remedies. So say you prescribe a really good remedy that's accurate and the person feels nothing, you would look into if they have one of these 3 issues, like shock and trauma, grief, unaddressed. There are 3 remedies. So that would be Star of Bethlehem. That is for shock, trauma, grief. And then Holly unblocks the case, and that's for strong negative emotions like hatred, anger, jealousy, closed heart, really dark negative emotions. And the other one is Wild Oat, which is for feeling like you need every remedy, you don't know, you're lost in life, you don't know your purpose. So he would say often if someone is not responding to remedies, try one of these. If they're the passive, low energy type, try Wild Oat. If they're more of a robust, they may not even have those emotions, but you use these remedies, catalyst remedies, to unblock the case. But other than those, other than that situation, there's really nothing. That's why I love them. They don't interfere with anything. Nothing interferes with them.
One of the main ingredients in our product line, saffron, has been proven over and over again in clinical double-blind placebo trials to be an effective form of treatment for depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Saffron has been used by many cultures for thousands of years for these purposes, and now the research is here to finally back it up, proving that plant medicines and ancient healing practices can actually be an effective alternative to pharmaceuticals. From caffeine-free latte powders to saffron baths and capsules, there's something for any modern woman looking for ancient healing. Again, that's code the FULLEST Podcast at checkout for 15% off. I hope you enjoy your new daily saffron ritual.
So do you have holly and wild oat and Star Bethlehem?
Yeah, I use those. And so for those who don't know, I have a product line. And I make formulas that were developed over my 18 or 19 years treating people one-on-one. And I would see that, wow, certain remedies work really well in combination for like universal conditions. And there was nothing like that out there. If you go to the health food store, there's a shelf of Bach remedies, but they're all individual. And you wouldn't know how to combine them with 7 things in a bottle unless you were skilled, probably, or there'd be some randomness in it. So I make these formulas that have about 5 to 7 essences in each, and they're very specific for conditions like heartbreak, writer's block, life purpose, love, or anger, just every human thing you could go through. And so in many of those formulas are wild oat, holly, and Star of Bethlehem.
Oh, okay. To unblock. So as the catalyst to make that.
And so those are called, I have on my website, there's some called foundational formulas. And those are the ones that I call them like the heavy lifters. They're there for where you start if you have had a lot of trauma in your past or sad childhood, or, where your past is still affecting you. We have to clear that and heal that past stuff before you start thinking about like career or lighter things. You have to kind of go deep and heal the heart first. The psyche, like if you're, damaged there, as most of us are. And then you go in kind of like a hierarchy and then heal one layer after another.
Yeah. So there's like foundational ones that help you heal. And then there are ones like, we'll get like wallflower, for example, I was mentioning like to everyone because I could not believe it.
This is what I take for podcasts and interviews because I have stage fright. I'm going to take some now.
It's so good. And I took it last week and I could not believe I just hung out for 4 hours at the lunch that you had and just was chit-chatting away and not worried about my kids at all. I was just like, okay, they're fine. They don't need me. I'm just going to relax. And normally it doesn't matter how many people are watching them or whatever. Like I'm constantly, worried and then not able to really connect. And also I don't drink. And I felt like, you had mentioned that's a really great remedy or essence for taking place of drinking. And I think a lot of times, especially right now, there's so many people that don't want to drink and they're interested in alternatives, and there's this whole non-alcoholic movement happening like with beverages. So tell people about wallflower when it comes to that as well.
Wallflower is one of the first formulas I made. I used to be an actress, which just blows my mind, but I did commercials and modeling, and it really wasn't my calling, but it was a good job. And so toward the end, when I really knew in my spirit, like, I can't do this anymore, I developed this terrible stage fright, which was my body saying, you don't do this. But I had to go to auditions and I was like, what is going on? I'd be blushing. I'd be like really self-conscious and just like, jumping out of my skin with shyness. And then it would start like leaking over into social situations. And it did coincide with me kind of not drinking it. I just intuitively gave up drinking around then. I'll have once in a while something, but so maybe that was also the social anxiety. I was used to having a drink to loosen up. So I made this formula wallflower to help me go to auditions and be out socially. Its working title was Show Cats, because I was like watching these pet shows and these like little fancy feast cats were like prancing around. Yeah. And I thought, I need that. I need to be a show cat. And so anyway, so it's got remedies for people who by nature are shy, sensitive, and they'd be sensitive to like a lot of environmental stuff, noise, food additives. They'd just be like delicate, self-conscious.
Okay.
And they have fear of known things, like fear of going to the dentist, fear of public speaking, fear of illness, fear of whatever. So it's really calming for fear. But then it has these remedies for confidence and feeling beautiful and outgoing, and remedies for the loner, like the hermit. So it makes you feel a little bit like out. I talk to strangers when I take this formula and I go, who are you? What are you doing?
Well, yeah, like great for meeting new people, going out, maybe a first date.
Oh my God, the best for dating. Yeah. And so I've actually gotten a lot of emails from people who said, I took this because I'm a social drinker and it was getting to be a problem. And I totally quit drinking after I started Wallflower. So it is, it's a fun, light one for dating and parties. But it's also, I mean, if people are like quitting drinking, that's an important one. And so, yeah, we had it. I added the drops to our beverages at this lunch I just had. And everyone, it was the most fun party I've been to. So relaxed.
It was so fun. I loved it. And you're just surrounded by such wonderful people. And I just felt, I love that when I go, to a place where I really connect and align with the person, and everyone that they invite just feels like an extension of them and their world. And it's just so exciting to, go into that type of a space. So it was really fun. And your flower sack is so beautiful. And I want to talk about that too. But let's talk about just like other remedies, because I think it's so fun. And I think it's really interesting because on one hand you have, what we're talking about, like tinctures that support like the physical body, right? Mm-hmm. But flower essences are supporting spiritual and emotional. But I'm sure there are ones that, I don't know, like, what do you think? Are there ones that can support, like, I'm sure people want to talk about aging,
yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I have a Beauty Formulas line, and it started with Beauty Formula number 8, which is the anti-aging one. And I know that's a terrible term, anti-aging, and I've tried not to use it, but I call it that because when you're in your unhealed state and you need Beauty Formula number 8, you feel old, tired, your best times are behind you. When you see the words anti-aging, you're like, that's what you're drawn to. So it's
connect.
Yeah. So once you take the remedy, you probably wouldn't connect to that phrase. So I have to use that phrase, but generally, like, I'm opposed to it. And then that remedy, it does many things. It relaxes your facial muscles. So I call it like floral Botox, and it plumps the skin because it's rejuvenating if you're exhausted, like postpartum, after illness, or like after life, just you're exhausted. It's really good for under eye circles. It brightens the skin. It's good for breakout. So I wanted to like get at every physical skin issue. And though these remedies are supposedly not for the physical, I had a kind of a high, I took on this challenge of for my sister who wanted to get Botox, of making her an alternative. So I just went through each thing, like, why would someone think they need to change their face? Okay. And I thought, I'm going to do this with flowers, because if the physical is a manifestation of what's going on inside, then I could change the physical by addressing the spiritual and emotional causes of the aging and of the tense forehead. And so I did it, and it's really works. And so, but what's great about it is I also thought about the aspect of the emotional stuff, and like the unfortunate case, which is so common, that people feel that there's something wrong with them and they need to change themselves. So I put remedies in there for feeling self-acceptance and self-love, and like perspective, where you look in the mirror and you say, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. We magnify things to be, a blemish becomes a huge goiter, or, a thigh becomes huge. And so it actually changes the way you see yourself. And then also that makes people see you as more beautiful. So it's kind of, it's a multi-level approach to that. And then I have one for like maybe the little sister of Beauty 8, which is for more severe breakouts, acne, cystic acne. All of them are good for breakouts, but did I say number 9? Number 7, which is called Gamine. Sorry, Beauty Formula number 7, Gamine. That's more for younger. You could take it at any age, but breakouts and more shame and self-consciousness and comparing yourself to others. And so there's a lot of identity remedies in there, and like lots of self-love and confidence.
That sounds so beautiful.
And then I just came out with number 9, which is rosacea sensitive. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's like a whole skincare line.
That's so smart. So for like flare-ups, irritation, okay.
Reactivity to foods, and because I interviewed rosacea people, and they had like, I said, what makes it worse? And it was like everything, basically. 20 things, sun, spices, emotions, air conditioning, heaters, fabrics, skin products. It just went on and on, like, what makes it better? It was like one thing. Like, what makes it better? Avoiding all those things. So they were living a life of avoidance and fear. And then, like, maybe gentle walks in nature. So I saw these people just need calming. These people's nervous systems are very reactive and in a heightened alert state. So I approached it that way to calm them. And so it's like a very calming remedy that you could take if you don't even have rosacea, or pitta, pitta cooling if you're into Ayurveda. So that's
good for postpartum.
Postpartum.
That's really good.
Yes. Is that an issue that happens after?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of
that. So
that.
that's really good.
Yeah. I usually say Beauty 8 for postpartum because it's very rejuvenating if you're tired. But if you're getting, that makes sense.
Sometimes you're like having an adrenaline rush.
Wow.
So you kind of, it depends, what they're experiencing. I mean, because you're like, I need to do this, and you nurse them, and you're not sleeping, and you're kind of, like very pitta.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, so it just depends. That happened to me, but that I did like a whole mother-baby massage program with Marta from Surya Spa, and had I not done that, like, I don't know I'm so grateful, and that was all about like calming. But everyone's different, and I think it's so helpful to also have that aspect of like feeling rejuvenated, feeling replenished, and having the other remedy. So I bet both. I mean, I'm curious if you could take both side by side.
Not at once. So, that's the thing. So it's also less is more with flower remedies. Like if you really wanted to feel the effect of a remedy, you would just take a single essence, like really work with that and see what it's like. But the more you add, the kind of more dilute the message is to your system. So people are like, why can't I just take all 38 essences? Because it would be a cacophony of signals to your system, and you wouldn't be able to discern. It would be muddied. The picture would be muddied. So because my formulas already have 5 to 7 things, if you're combining formulas and then you're taking possibly 14, and like you shouldn't really go above 5. 7. I gave myself license to go to 7 because I knew they worked. But
I love it. What about, okay, so you're saying use one consistently.
Yes.
What if it's like I'm on personal assistant, for example, and I'm going out and I want to take wallflower, I just don't take it that day?
Yeah, so I call those intercurrent remedies, like you pause your daily formula and then you take your situational one while you need it. And it's usually the reverse for me. Like I'm taking wallflower and then I have all this work to do, or taxes, or just whatever work I don't want to do. I pause it, and personal assistant I take for a week. And that one is especially fast acting. I don't know why. Personal assistant, I feel it right away. That one is great for the procrastinators out there who they think they're tired, but it's only that they're tired when it's nothing fun. But if it's like, you want to go to this party, they have total energy. So it's like, the Monday morning feeling, you don't want to start exercising, that kind of thing. It's just makes you a dynamo.
Yeah. Is that a good one to take before you work out?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's also good, speaking of like wallflower, to replace drinking. I think my personal assistant is a great one to replace caffeine, but it's non-jittery energy. So you feel like really energetic, but not where you're like adrenalized and not contained. It's just it's really nice to replace caffeine.
Oh, okay. I love that. And then I wanted to talk about love because I know you have one for that, right?
Yes.
What's it called?
In Love.
Is it love?
Yeah, In Love.
In love. And you had mentioned there are people that want to call in their partner. So tell us a little bit about how this one works, on what level.
It's one of my favorites because it's one that everyone could take and feel amazing from. And it's, in a way, all of my remedies are this, but this one especially, it's called it like a emotional adaptogen. So it's kind of for all aspects of treating like why you can't find love. So, it has remedies for those who are closed off and loners who are like, I'm lonely, but I can't connect with many people. I'm a one-on-one person and I'm specific. And so it has remedies for people like that, but it also has remedies for people who too much need someone to be with, to the point where they would choose anyone just to have company. That's dangerous. So there's yeah. And so basically, like, the remedy, it clears past trauma. It opens your heart, so you feel like flooded with love feelings. And the idea behind it is that if you feel in love already by yourself, and that feeling of open-hearted bliss that we just long for with a partner, if you already are in that place, you will pick a partner that's based on sound judgment and magic and all the good things. And so it can be for codependence, or if you keep picking the wrong, in quotes, partner, repeating negative patterns in relationships, clinging, being too needy or jealous, or the opposite, being avoidant and aloof when there's conflict. So it kind of hits every possible thing you could have experience while looking for a relationship, or if you're already in one. And so, yeah, people take it and they say things like, I feel like I'm on ecstasy or MDMA. I feel like my heart is just bursting open. And now I don't care if I find someone, it would be great. But like, I'm just so happy now that, So the idea too is like, I get low blood sugar and I wait till the 11th hour and then I eat the wrong thing. So she said, do not go shopping when you're hungry, because you're going to buy all quick fix, like bad things, unhealthy stuff. And I realized, it's the same, calling in love, that you want to feel completely whole and fulfilled in yourself before you start looking for another person. So that was my goal for that one. But it sounds like homework to do that remedy, but it's not. It's like really fun.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me too with like digestion. And, they say when you're eating, like, make sure you're in an environment that, like, for me specifically, I had someone tell me, like, don't be near this specific person when you're eating, because that person was literally abusive to me. But I took that information. It really helped me, because then my digestion was way better when I took that advice. So I'm curious if you have anything like that with, the next ones I want to ask are like digestion. And I know that you said, like, with, like the term anti-aging, and I'm the same. And sometimes I get that what you're saying is like, you're kind of connecting with that. And I would say the same thing is with weight loss.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
that term of weight loss, but people want weight loss. I mean, people are interested. I mean, look, there's a million people out there now taking Ozempic and all that sort of thing, but what could they do? Is there a flower essence that maybe could work for someone?
Yes, I love, and I've gotten many reports about this. It was almost like it didn't occur to me that it could help with this, but beauty formula number 7, we talked about that. That was the second one, for shame. And I can't list this on the website because like medical claims, but like body dysmorphia. And so I got many emails from people that said, wow, I started taking that formula and I've lost weight. I wasn't trying. I was taking it for my skin, but I just love my body, and it would make people want to exercise. And so, yeah, once you start seeing yourself as beautiful, I do think that there is a spiritual component to holding weight, just the metabolism. Why wouldn't it? But the metabolism is linked to the adrenaline cortisol connection, and that's linked to trauma and fear. And then that can be triggered by hating your body, and so many things. So I love that one to start with. It's also a foundational one. So it would address like the root cause in your past that started all this. And then I like to follow that with my personal assistant. So I like to go like deep into the emotions with beauty number 7. And then my personal assistant, when you want more energy, it's like, it feels like a metabolism stimulator and makes you want to exercise and move your body. So I like that combo. Oh, you mentioned the don't eat around certain people. Okay, so you are probably like me. We're very sponge-like. I just absorb everyone's energy. So, which is hard if you're working with people doing this kind of thing. So I made a remedy called Pathos. It was during lockdowns, and everyone was writing to me that they're just like absorbing the pain of the world and so fearful and all this. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't make this formula that is probably the one I've needed my whole life. And I got very into, in homeopathy school, I was given a remedy for ailments from empathy, and it changed my life. And I realized this is such a big thing that people don't know they have. They might get headaches, they might get digestive problems, and that it's often not it's other people's stuff that they're absorbing that's making them feel so anxious. And so I made this one called Pathos. It had to have a Greek name because all of these revelations about empathy came about on a Greek island. And so that puts this kind of buffer around you. It's so calming to the nervous system and good for anxiety, but it's like this little protective, soft cushion around you. So kind of like beauty number 9. It's for people with, and wallflower, like very delicate nervous systems and sensitivity. And that always manifests, like digestion I see digestion trouble as being linked to anxiety and sensitivity. That's why, like, when you are really nervous, people have to run to the bathroom.
So then how would you take it if you were going to take a consistent remedy? Obviously we talked about this, and then you do the situational one and you stop the one that you're doing daily. But let's say I wanted to do beauty and Pathos, for example. Then would I take, or I wanted to work with one, you take it for like a certain period of time and then you can add, and then you switch off? Like, how do you switch off?
So I like to, one bottle lasts a month, and that's kind of the minimum required to shift things. And so what I've seen in practice is the longer you've had an issue, the longer it takes to treat that layer. So like with wallflower, like say you've been shy your whole life, and you want to take wallflower, it would probably take 2 to 3 bottles back to back for that to have lasting effects. You'll feel great. But if you, like some people, they just take something for a month and they love switching remedies, and they didn't work with one long enough. So like in homeopathy school, one of the dangers they say in practice is the practitioner changing remedies too soon. And it's like, you might find the perfect remedy and you just needed to change the dosage or something, but we are inclined to change the remedy all the time. It's just, I don't know why.
Yeah.
So they say, get everything you can out of a remedy before you change it, like really milk it and exhaust the action. So what happens is, say you take wallflower for a month and you feel great and there's no new symptoms or emotional picture that's come up, you could repeat it and until you're like, okay, I'm done with this layer. But often what will happen is, say you take my personal assistant and you work through the layer of procrastination and you feel fine, but then underneath it, you start being like really irritable and a new picture emerges. That means you've treated one layer and now something from deeper is coming forward to be treated, to be healed. And then you reassess and you pick a remedy based on the new picture. So it's kind of intuitive. Like I'd say 1 to 3 months, like 1 month for something of recent onset, like, my personal assistant, I've been lazy for the last month. And then like with people who've had a lot of trauma in their childhoods, abuse, adoption, like just a lot of stuff, abandonment, I would say Wholehearted. That's kind of a sister remedy to In Love. It's like a nice one to start with. So you can take that for recent grief and loss, but it's also for old wounds. So, and then with that one, I like to do it 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 bottles, because usually people who've had that, it was for a long period and it's deep and old. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you for the rundown. You have created such a beautiful line that's helped so many people. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have this conversation and share more about it with others. So thanks for taking the time to come on, and please let people know how they can find you.
Thank you, Nikki. My website is alexissmart.com with 2 S's, ALEXIS smart.com. I'm on Instagram as Alexis Smart Flower Remedies. I chose that name. It's so long. I chose that kind of as a placeholder. And then and I'm available, like if you need to message me, or we have help, if you need help choosing a remedy. And I just want to say too that I'll be sharing a lot more about homeopathy in the future. We're going to start selling homeopathy kits from England, and I'm going to
my God.
Yes. And so I love sharing about that, because you can treat yourself for acute illnesses or while traveling. We're doing travel kit. So I'll be sharing more about that and videos and stuff.
Cannot wait to have you back on when that happens, because I've been really wanting a really cool kit. So that's great. I can't wait for that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Nikki. This was just such a joy to talk to you as always.